Hey teachers, Brother Judd here with another training to help you with your seminary lessons this week. So what I want to talk about today is responding to student answers. We always hope as teachers that we ask a question, that we've set the question up in a way that will invite students to participate. But another way that we can encourage more participation is how we respond to their answers. So here in the lesson for Hebrews chapters 3 and 4, it's talking about entering the rest of the Lord. And as with many lessons, it starts with a quote. And at the end of the quote, a question to get the discussion going. Now, the quote here is about the decline of Christianity in the United States. And then the question that is suggested is to ask, what are some of the potential consequences now and in the future of people not believing in Jesus Christ? Okay, pretty good question. Ask that to our students. Hopefully you set it up in a way that they want to participate. If you're still struggling with getting students to participate in answering questions, I've got a training on that in previous weeks. But you've set it up, ask the question, and a student responds. Now, I'm not going to try to just manufacture some kind of response. Instead, I'll just pretend that they say, answer, 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 answer. And so they answer your question, and then how do you respond? Hopefully, you do something like this. 1, you thank them for their response, and then 2, praise them appropriately for that response. So, for example, what are some potential consequences now and in the future of people not believing in Jesus Christ, you ask? And a student responds, well, answer, 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 answer. Well, thank you, Sean. I appreciate that perspective. Easy as that. What if you actually don't appreciate their perspective, though? What if they just say something totally off the wall? You ask a question, they say something silly. Answer, 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 answer. Hey, thanks, Sean. I appreciate you having the courage to speak up. Try to find something that you can praise the student for, that they took the courage to answer, that they were willing to participate. If you did indeed find it insightful, praise them for that being insightful. This is something that takes some practice so that you can both be, you can thank them and praise them for participating, but not making it canned and corny, and that they can tell you're being disingenuous, but just kind of like just using a teaching hack to get more participation. Really, it comes from your heart, and you're grateful they are participating, which as teachers, I think that we're always happy for students to take that chance and answer questions and participate. So I don't think that'll have to be too manufactured, but it is something that takes some practice if it's not something you naturally do, is to, instead of just responding to whatever they say, to take a pause, thank them, and then praise them appropriately for whatever was in their response. So you ask the question, they say, answer, answer, and you say, Mary, I haven't thought about it that way. Thanks for opening my eyes to something. Or Tom, it's really early in the morning, and to hear something as insightful as that, thank you for sharing that. Okay, it really can be anything. So that's just a little thing you can do, but it will help beget more participation and help students continue to want to answer questions as we bring them up. So as you go further on in the lesson, it's talking all about the Lord's rest, giving definitions of what the Lord's rest is. There's this great scripture activity down here. Yeah, it's these Hebrews verses. And so it invites students to read a number of verses out of Hebrews, and then it asks, as you read, look for what we can do to enter into the rest of the Lord. And then make sure to check the Joseph Smith translation of Hebrews back in the Bible appendix as well. And then the question is, what stands out to you from these verses? So you have students reading, and let's say that somebody chooses to pull something from these verses. Harden not your hearts. Exhort one another daily. A number of things that they could answer with. And so let's say that somebody, you ask, how can we enter the Lord's rest? Well, somebody answers, you don't want to harden your heart. Okay? Thank you for sharing that. And then step 2, so 1 is acknowledging and praising, and step 2 would be asking a follow-up question. And so somebody says, entering into the Lord's rest means partly that you don't harden your heart. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you noticed that in the scriptures. Now, Jenny, what do you think that means to not harden your heart? And so you've taken and you've almost gotten a 2 for 1. They answered your initial question that was just look for something in the scriptures. And then you ask them an analyze question, that follow-up that gets them to think a little bit more deeply about the answer that they just gave. And so praise, or thank and praise, step number 1. And then 2, ask that follow-up question. And I've gotten a lot of mileage out of those 2 things over the years, to let students know, hey, I really do care about your contributions. And not only that, but I want to hear more about how you think and feel about those types of things. So I hope that was helpful. This Hebrews 3 and 4 lesson, lots of questions like that, so you'll be able to get lots of practice from acknowledging students' answers and then asking follow-up questions. But don't just use it here in Hebrews 3 and 4. It's a great teaching technique for wherever you find yourself teaching in the church. So I hope that was helpful, and I'll have another one for you next week. Take care.